I think you're live now.
Okay. Hi everyone.
Now, as external person, I'm going to click watch live.
Yeah.
And now I can see you, Sharon.
Okay.
You are now live.
Okay.
Everyone can see you. So just wait for people to join.
How do I let them in? Do I let them in?
And everybody, you can close down Teams. Please close down Teams.
This?
Yeah. Don't close on that live one.
Okay.
You're on.
I'm live now, am I? Hi everyone.
People.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm not very, I'm out of my comfort zone here doing this. I'm having a few technical difficulties, so sorry that we're a little bit late. So welcome to my office and our first Facebook Live. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself. Those that don't know me, I'm the Managing Director of Suicide Bereavement UK. I also specialise in suicide bereavement research. So what I would like to do, the reason why I've decided to do this Facebook Live is because I think, you know, I connected with a lot of you on Twitter, and it's, you know, that was 2 years ago, and it was a wonderful opportunity for us to engage with each other. So what I'm hoping to do, if this goes well, is do something every month where we can all come together and connect and learn from each other. So we originally, or I wanted to work with Scott on this and talk with Scott, but we're having technical difficulties, so I'm actually winging this at the moment, but here goes. So, okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about is my motivation for working in this field. So, in relation to suicide and its impact, it wasn't on my, 30 years ago, it wasn't even on my radar. And if you was to ask me, you know, I would say this happened to other people and their families. However, on 30th of December 1990, I learnt that that's not the case. And my brother, aged 29, died by suicide. My brother was called Lexi. He lost a wife, he left a wife, 27, a daughter, 7, a mum, a dad, and 5 brothers and sisters. There were no signs of his mental health problems. He hadn't been in access with services. There was no signs of his impending death. And so the reality was, one day he was here, and then the next he wasn't, and it was as simple and as complex as that. And so 30 years ago well, I don't know if it's got that much better now than it was 30 years ago, but 30 years ago there was nothing, and all we had was each other, you know, no services, no nothing. And the only way I can describe it, you know, we couldn't understand why my brother, that we weren't enough to support my brother. Why were things so bad that he felt that he couldn't go on? And that what we actually learnt was that you know, or felt, if we couldn't predict my brother's death, well then what other disasters were in store for us? Would someone else die by suicide? And I have to say, to this day, whilst we talk about this and what we should say, I have never asked any of my family members, because for whatever reason I haven't. Also worried that, you know, that others might die by suicide, or for myself, there's 5 brothers and sisters that want, you know, that it might be hereditary. So this kind of, these emotions that we're feeling, what I've learnt is that for those that in the early stages of bereavement, the world becomes a frightening and unpredictable place. And this is where, you know, I've kind of tormented myself for many years, and my family as well, but I'm talking about me personally now. For many years I tormented myself you know, how we felt, and the what if only, searching for the reasons why, as a direct result. And I do believe this, and some of you might challenge me on this, out of everything bad, even losing my brother to suicide, you can find some good. And out of my searching why, I've actually educated myself. I left school with no qualifications, and I did, as a direct result, wanting to understand about suicide. Many of you will relate to this. I did a degree, a PhD, and as a direct result, I specialised in suicide bereavement research for 20 years. So I don't often talk about my brother, and I definitely don't have a photograph because that makes me feel vulnerable, and I very rarely use his name, but I think today I feel okay with that. And so what I would say, that's me in my vulnerabilities and my expertise. And if you was to ask me why I choose to work in this field, is because I don't want any families or professionals that are affected by suicide to go through what we've done. So actually, you know, that is the good that's come out of my brother dying, and I choose to embrace that, because all the negative stuff, what do we do with that? And I think, you know, I admire a lot of people in this field that, you know, we brush ourselves down and we fight our corner. But what I think that I possibly do that's a bit different, so I'm a Dr. McDonnell, but actually I'm not a clinician. But what I would say is that there are two sides to a coin. You've got the bereaved and you've got the professionals. And, you know, it's not them and us, it's we. And if we're going to change anything or improve services, we have to understand the perspective from both points of view. And for those, so while I also would argue that nobody, absolutely nobody, can possibly know what it's like to be bereaved by suicide or impacted when they lose a patient to suicide. Nobody can know. And the only way society or policy or practice changes is if we have the courage to step up and speak out. And so that's kind of where I'm coming from. So I specialised for 20 years, 16 years. I worked at I'm also an honorary research fellow at the University of Manchester, where I did my PhD. And as a direct result of struggling unbelievably to secure funding in its own right, even though the care of those bereaved by suicide is a government priority, I had to create Suicide Bereavement UK to continue this work in the field. And whilst I could potentially generate funding for suicide prevention, and whilst suicide bereavement is suicide prevention, it's a different ball game securing funding to do suicide bereavement research. So I've been a managing director now for Suicide Bereavement UK for 6 years. And so what I do, I specialise in suicide bereavement research and also translating research findings into evidence-based suicide bereavement training. But what I do, and I always do, I will look at the vulnerability of each study in its own right. I will look at the bereaved by suicide and the professionals that come into contact with us. So I think, I'm guessing, there's quite a few of you that have been on our PABS evidence-based suicide bereavement training, which is a first of its kind internationally. It's the only one that's got a 3-year study which has informed its development, and this was funded by the National Institute for Health and Research. So we've also we've developed emergency services training and on-the-go training. But I'm not a business person, really not a business person. It's a case of needs must, and this is what I've had to do to be able to continue my work. So fast forward, you've got to forgive me here because I'm absolutely waffling. We've got it all planned with Scott. So Scott, my lovely friend and colleague, is a clinician who's lost patients. And so we were going to talk together as a bereaved person and an academic, and Scott as a clinician and impacted. So you could listen to us both and realise, oh wow, there's not that much difference between the two of us, and helping to break down stigma. But that's not happening, so I'm absolutely waffling here, so we'll see how we go. So I'm looking at my questions here. So one of the questions is, why is it essential that we capture the voices of those bereaved and affected? And I keep saying and affected. This is just one word that was in England's suicide prevention strategy, which is absolutely massive. 2012, we start realising, well, maybe professionals that lose a patient or come into contact with the bereaved might be impacted. So things are changing. And so one of the key objectives in the suicide prevention strategy was to provide better information and support to those bereaved and affected by suicide. Well, that's all well and good, but this country, this research is in its infancy in this field. So ultimately, we'd have to go to other countries that speak our language potentially, but are culturally different, to ask them how to look after our people. Well, I don't know about all of you. For example, in America, we speak the same language, but we're culturally different. If this is a priority, a government priority, well, then we should do research. Well, guess what? Couldn't secure funding for this. I was in the transition I was at the University of Manchester, setting up Suicide Bereavement UK, and I said, right, okay, well, I'll lead this. So with no funding, I had to convince members of my team. We all worked on this project for 5 years for free in our spare time. Well, I don't know about all of you. We didn't have spare time. It meant weekends, evenings, holidays, but against all odds, we did this study. So I'm going to share to you. Oh, by the way, because I've got to tell you, I'm rubbish at multitasking. I'm rubbish at IT. I prefer to send messages with pigeons, never mind being on here. So I can't multitask with the questions. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to waffle on, and then I'm going to answer all the questions at the end. And I'm really sorry about this. We'll get at these are mega teething problems. So anyway, getting back to the National Suicide Bereavement Survey. And what I've learned, and this is absolutely magical what happened, goodwill and kindness generates more goodwill and kindness. And so I had colleagues, I had to convince them that, look, this is really important, this is really valuable. They committed to 5 years of working for nothing. And I've got to say, we're not a bargain basement team, we've got expertise. So our team was together, and I went on Twitter, and this happened absolutely by accident. Every single day, while we were recruiting for 12 months, I would answer the survey. Sorry about this. 72 questions in the survey. For those people that couldn't do it online, we would print it. And I have to tell you, it was the size of an Argos catalogue. And I don't know about any of you lot. If I see someone with a clipboard in a shopping centre, I'll body swerve it and dive in any shop than do it. But this was 71 questions. Difficult questions. And these people on Twitter, they knew that we had no funding. They knew that we was doing it for free. They knew it was being led by someone bereaved by suicide. They knew it was for bereaved people and those affected, because and equally they knew it wasn't some tokenistic thing. And so every day I would go on and thank people. About 7 o'clock in the morning, thank you to the 12 people that have filled in today. This means so many have taken part. And then what I found, people were filling it in, and then they would go, I filled it in KISS. And I'm thinking, oh. And then men were sending me, I filled it in KISS. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, what's happening here? And then I started realising, so this is, for example, clinicians that there's, that they have their own anxieties, and if I'm totally honest with you all, which won't come as a shock, they don't feel supported. you know, and that has to change. But anyway, so they would fill these in, and it started after a few weeks. Every single day people filled it in for 12 months. There was one day they didn't, and I was happy they didn't, which was Christmas Day. But as I was putting this on every morning, people, if there was a couple of times, say if I was going to London and I was on the early train, they'll go, "What's the update, Sharon?" And I'm thinking, oh God. And when I realised these people are emotionally investing, not only are they stepping up and want to be seen, they want to know every day. And so by accident, I can't claim I planned to do this, people emotionally invested in this. They helped me recruit to the point at 12 o'clock on a certain date in August it would cut off. I had people up to 12 o'clock at night helping me to recruit. And so these questions that we asked, I've got to tell you now, difficult. But equally we know, because we're bereaved, what questions, and academics, we know what questions need to be asked. We potentially, in this survey, were asking questions that it's probably never, ever been asked because they're too difficult to ask. Like I said with my family, some things are too difficult. The same applies for clinicians dealing with us, this vulnerable, high-risk group. However, this survey, we dared ask. And guess what? They dared answer. We didn't give them this tokenistic, so there was lots of tick boxes, lots of difficult questions, but there were lots of free text. And what actually happened was, we didn't give them 120 characters. If you want to write War and Peace on anything, just write. And actually, these people have been telling us things that they've been doing, but more than that, and the reasons why they were doing it. So we've actually got this priceless, off the scale, priceless data. 7,158 people took part in the study, and I'm guessing, and I'm not even looking at the questions, sorry, because I'll absolutely really get confused. I'm guessing many of you today have filled in this survey, and I'm from my heart, I really thank you. And this is the report for those. This is your own work for this time. You can download this on our website. I think that's going to be put in the chat. And this is the voice of those bereaved or affected by suicide. Governments are looking at this. Other countries are replicating it at the moment. Republic of Ireland, I know Norway are. So actually, we're going to be joining up the dots with all these other countries and people. And you know what? Sometimes we have this arrogance of government or whoever. We assume, you know, if it's a complex problem, we think we need a complex solution. Well, really, sometimes just ask. Just ask. And this is what we did. These are meant to be, by the way, and I'm one of these people, hard to reach population, stigmatised, isolated, will not engage. Well, they did here. So what this study, apart from the findings, if I've got time, let's look at the time, and we'll talk about that, is that they've totally engaged in this. And oh, sorry. So, okay then. So I'm going to just give you some brief findings on the Grief to Hope report. The 7,158 people that took part, the age between 18 and 84, didn't expect people of that age to fill it in. They were bereaved or affected. I think there was 1,300 professions that have took part. These people lost between 1 and 70 people, and I'm sure there's a few skeptics there thinking, 70?
Q&A.
Okay, all right, okay. So, all right, okay then. I'm just being told here. This is honest to God. It'll be better next time. If you find this all right, trust me, the second one will be better than this one. This is a bit of a nightmare. So okay, so I'm now going to look at questions and answers here. So just bear with me. So I'm going to have a look at these.
Have you got the questions?
I've got some questions. I think here. I think okay. Okay. So here's Gillian Davis, power of connection and community, so important for recovery. Absolutely. And let me tell you, so when we on Twitter, because these people were coming I got really attached to these people. I really don't know how you get attached to people in so many characters on Twitter, but I definitely did. And we called ourselves for 12 months Team UK. And actually, what was happening, more than that, I'm not bothered about the survey, well I am, but we were finding each other, we were finding, we were speaking out, we were being seen. That is more powerful than the survey. And then, I've had one lady said, I think I've found my tribe. And that really moved me, because you know what, it's about belonging. Absolutely, and that this is it. And actually, we're no different than anyone else. It's just people tend to think we've got 3 heads or whatever, and we need to break this down, So hang on, let me have a look at these questions here. There's a lot to be said for having pigeons and not on the internet. Oh, sadly, I only found out about the event as I would have liked to have been involved. I'd like to be an advocate, ambassador. Oh, really? Oh, Lisa, thank you. Or anything else, Sharon? Well, do you know what? This is what I'm planning to do. We do training. We charge for that. But people can afford that. Some can't. We do an international conference. I give free places from in memory of my brother. But still, not as many people come as would like, and I just think this is special what we've got. We created a community on Twitter. Hopefully we'll do it here, and let's create a social movement. I mean, that sounds really grand and really proper. If I get my act together on the internet and all that kind of stuff, the magic happened on Twitter 2 years ago. We did this, we've developed this, government are looking, this guidelines are being developed, training, all this kind of stuff. Well, why on earth would we stop now? So I think, hopefully, this is a way where we can come together, create a social movement, come together, cost nothing, but more than anything, we learn from each other. The bereaved can learn from, and the key thing, and it happened at the conference, when we do this, and the only way I will do it, is respect. It happens at the conference. If you come to the conference, if you're bereaved or you're a professional that's lost someone, if you come, you're one of us and you're welcome. And every single person, no one has ever kicked off at the conference, is respect. And this is what I would like this. It's not going to be a moaning fest or whatever. It's about being proactive, speaking out, the bereaved learning that the clinicians struggle as well. The clinicians see the bereaved, that they're more than just being bereaved, and we don't actually, everyone seems frightened of each other about this issue, and we need to address that. So thank you for that, offering services and everything. That would be brilliant. Let me have a look here. I'm going to answer all these questions at the end, because I'm kind of not got let me have a look. Oh, someone offering to share the grief to hope. So right, that's your own work. If you like the idea of this, can you put it on the chat? Because I think there's something in this, and when we manage the questions and we come back, I think it will really work. But I just need a little bit of feedback of what you think. I know things are not going right for this, but what you felt is really good. Oh, so Kelly Matters, thank you for that. I'm finding this honest, authentic and inspiring. I've got to say, I'm not very politically correct. I don't mean to say inappropriate stuff. I've been very nervous about doing this. Everything's gone wrong that could possibly, but I still think this is something magical could happen with us all on here, and I think it's about being real, and so Kelly Matters, sorry, I've not got your proper name. Thank you for saying that, because it's about being authentic. And I want to add something here for professionals, because they get forgotten about as well as the bereaved, and we all matter. We have to get our head around there's 2 sides to a coin. If we move forward, things get better, services get better. Well, we look after the bereaved, we have to look after those that look after us, and if we don't, well, then we don't move forward. So their voice is as important as ours. Oh, I love that. Someone said, can it be a regular network? Yes, please. I would love that. I would absolutely. And thank you for being so forgiving and understanding. At the minute, I haven't seen anyone moaning in the chat. Well, there might be loads of moaning, but I haven't come across it yet, which I'm very grateful for. It put me off. How do you find crews? Ah, someone's put the links to key resources. So yeah, so go on there. And some of you, I don't know, help is at hand for people bereaved by suicide. Absolutely essential for people bereaved by suicide. I was actually involved in the development of that as a person bereaved by suicide and an academic. Okay, all right. I'm told it's time's gone up. Gone. Okay. I promise now I'm going to respond to all these questions or any responses. Okay. You've got one here. Interesting, you're challenging the assumption that everyone bereaved by suicide is isolated. It's hopeful that you're saying what you are saying, and that's key. So no, not everybody's isolated. But what I would argue, nobody, whether it's one or millions or thousands, should be isolated. Until everyone gets the support they need, you know, we should keep banging that drum. Those that are not isolated are lucky, because a very high percentage feel isolated due to the stigma that they're subjected to. Right, I'm afraid we've finished now. It's only gone on for half an hour.
Let them know. They're coming on another time.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna. Sorry about this. So yeah. So hopefully we'll do this in a month's time if there's an appetite for it. So if any of you, and I'm also aware that some of you might not like to write on the web chat. We don't provide support or anything like this. This is about learning from each other, education, research, and anything. If you've got any topics you'd like us to discuss, it'll be a bit different next time because I'll be chatting with Scott. So it won't be just me staring at your screen. If there's any ideas, if you could send it to my email address, Sharon, SHARON .McDonnell, McDonnell at suicidebereavementuk.com, and then let's get the ball rolling. I mean, I can only try. I'm out of my comfort zone, but hopefully it will be better next time.
Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah, and if you like what we're doing, please, I would really like it if you could tell other people, if you think it's okay, tell other people, and then let's, it's like a snowball. At the minute, it's like a little pebble, but like Twitter, it was like a massive snowball because we all come together. So if you like this, or share it, or talk about it, I'd be very grateful. So thank you very much, and I'm going to go through answering your questions now. Thank you. Bye.